Welcome to my channel. Who was shot in the Halef final? Where will Serhat's anger be directed? Why did Sultan Hanum fall silent? The latest episode of Halef, The Call of the Rootsmen, has gone down as one of the most intense and suspenseful episodes of the series so far. The tension that steadily built throughout the episode reached its peak with that shocking gunshot in the final scene. Just when it seemed like everything was about to be resolved, that sudden sound threw viewers into complete uncertainty. And now, everyone is asking the same question: who was hit by the bullet? Was it really Melek who got shot? At first glance, all signs point toward Melek. The biggest reason for this is that Melek has become one of the most critical characters in the story over the last few episodes. She is no longer someone standing on the sidelines or merely observing events from a distance. On the contrary, she has moved dangerously close to the center of the secrets, uncovering truths that could destabilize many people's lives. In television dramas, characters like this are often portrayed as people who know too much, which naturally makes them targets. From that perspective, it seems quite logical that the attack was aimed at Melek. However, there is another important detail to consider. The storytelling style of this series has repeatedly surprised viewers with unexpected twists, especially in its season finales and episode endings. The show has often used misleading scenes to deliberately direct the audience toward the wrong conclusion. For that reason, it is entirely possible that Melek is being made to look like the victim, while in reality someone else was the one harmed. Perhaps the writers want all attention focused on Melek before revealing a much bigger surprise in the next episode. On the other side, a major emotional and psychological turning point is unfolding for Serhat. Learning that Ayten Hanım and Sultan Hanım secretly planned to take Yıldız to Istanbul is not simply a family disagreement for him. It feels like a direct betrayal. For Serhat, this is not just about where Yıldız is going. It represents a clear challenge to his authority, his decisions, and his personal freedom. And that strikes at one of Serhat's most sensitive points. So what will Serhat do now? Looking at his character, it is not difficult to predict that his initial reaction will be extremely harsh. He will likely experience a major outburst of anger. But Serhat is not someone who acts purely on emotion. He is a man who often turns anger into strategy. Once the initial shock phase, he will start investigating every detail of what happened. Who was involved in this plan? Did Yıldız know about it? How much responsibility does each person carry? These are the questions he will seek answers to, one by one. His confrontation with his mother, Sultan Hanım, could become one of the most intense scenes in the series so far. For Serhat, discovering that his own mother was behind such a plan is not just a mistake, it is a serious betrayal of trust. Ayten Hanım also seems likely to face his anger, and from this point on, Serhat's attitude toward her may become much colder and far more distant. But perhaps the most critical issue of all is Yıldız. If it turns out that she knew about this plan, the trust Serhat has in her could suffer a devastating blow. In that case, their love will face a difficult test, one where love and trust may stand on opposite sides. Sultan Hanum's decision to step back was also one of the most striking developments of the episode. Until now, she had been the strongest opponent of Serhat and Yıldız's relationship. She did everything she could to prevent their union, yet for the first time, she chose silence. But why? There are several important reasons for this. First, Sultan Hanım has finally realized that Serhat will not back down on this issue. His determination has begun to render all of her plans ineffective. Second, the displaced within the family has changed dramatically. She is no longer an outsider. She has become a character directly connected to the family's fate. Removing her from this story no longer seems easy. At the same time, we can see that Sultan Hanum is experiencing a deep internal conflict. As a mother, her fear of losing her son is growing stronger. If she continues to stand against Serhat, she may not only lose the battle over this marriage, she could lose her son completely. That fear is what ultimately forces her to step back. All of these developments show us one thing: the series has entered an entirely new phase. This is no longer just about love or family approval. From now on, power struggles, tests of loyalty, buried secrets from the past, and the trust between characters will become much more important. In the next episode, we will finally learn whether Melik was truly shot. Serhat's decisions are likely to change several relationships in irreversible ways, and Yildiz will find herself at the center of a storm bigger than anything she has faced before. In short, the next episode of Halef, The Call of the Roots, will not only answer some of our questions, it also seems ready to open the door to even greater conflicts ahead. Goodbye.